Hey, welcome to the show. This is our inaugural movie review show. The show is yet to be named, and we're going to review Jurassic Park because this is a show that everybody loves. Everyone grew up with it, probably, and we were 14 years old when it came out. We saw it in the theater like everybody else, and as a kid, watched it over and over again like everybody else our age. I mean, it just kept coming back to the theater. I remember, the school bus would drive by the theater every day. It was like, oh, hey, look, Jurassic Park's coming back again.
It was probably the biggest movie of the 90s up until maybe episode 1, at least.
I think that's fair. Titanic, maybe, yeah.
For our age, for teenagers.
For us,
let's
it
put
was.
it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Titanic was like an adult movie. Like, who cares about that?
Yeah, kind of. So, anyway, let's talk about Jurassic Park. The movie starts out by showing us a fatality that happens on this island with dinosaurs, right? But we don't really see the dinosaur very well. They show us like the eyes of the dinosaur. Somebody dies on the island. The insurance company says, well, if we're going to do this, we have to have people to sign off on this. We have to have, this lawyer has to come. Jeff Goldblum's character, who is, a scientist or a chaotician, I think he says his title is mathematician. They want him. And then they want 2 paleontologists to come. Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler, I think is her name. Laura Dern's character and Sam Neill's character. So they get them. They get them to go to the island. And the whole ride there, John Hammond, Richard Attenborough, who does a fantastic job, is just, he doesn't even tell them what it is. He doesn't tell anybody what it is the whole time there. But, it's a biological preserve, I think. And they're just like, okay, well.
They just think they're going to see some animatronics and,
I guess,
and roller coasters or something. Yeah.
So they get there, and very soon after getting there, they see dinosaurs. And it is pretty epic. I mean, the CG holds up pretty well. The music is wonderful.
It's John Williams.
It is as good as John Williams' music has been.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the best because there's so much good John Williams music, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So they get to the island. Everyone, they're just blown away with these dinosaurs. How did you do this? What, tell us how you did this. And he kind of tells it honestly, you can't create life with DNA. I mean, they don't really. Okay, fine. We'll let that pass.
It's a movie.
They made dinosaurs. Well, there was one guy on the island who was going to betray them. And this was Dennis Nedry, played by the guy that plays Newman on Seinfeld. Right? He was in a bunch of stuff back then. So Dennis Nedry steals some of these embryos because he's getting paid very well to do this by somebody off the island somewhere. So Dodgson pays him a bunch of money to steal these embryos. Now, Newman, what is his name? Nedry.
Just call him Newman.
Nedry has to shut off power to all these fences so that he can get the Jeep and get to the boat that's about to leave the island and go to the shore. Now, what he expects to do once he gets to shore, I have no idea, because realistically there'd be a bunch of cops waiting for him there, because obviously they're going to figure out how to get the power and the phones working again, and they did. I don't know what he was thinking. But with all the fences off, of course, mayhem ensues, right? Dinosaurs just start, killing people and chasing and everything else. And then they have to figure out, strategically, how do we do this? We've got some weapons, we've got some radios, we've got some people on the other side of the island. They don't even know if they're alive, quite honestly. And then, obviously the movie ends as they fly off. We've all seen it, right? And it's weird that there were several fatalities, but there was never like a moment that we saw where it was like some emotion there. Like, oh man, he died. Like Samuel Jackson's character, where's there was no mourning. I don't know, it was a little weird, But that's the plot of the movie. Now, what do I think about the movie? I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a great movie. And I think you're going to agree with me on this, but I think my biggest problem is Sam Neill. I mean, Sam Neill is the star of the movie, and he is so boring. I mean, everybody else, I shouldn't say everybody else, honestly, all the fun characters are all the side characters.
Spot on.
I just watched this movie, the whole flight to the island in the helicopter, Sam Neill only ever says one thing. Everyone else, like Jeff Goldblum, who I love Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah.
I love him in everything.
He's great.
He's great in this, and he's talking to Alan and Ellie, and he's like, so you two dig up dinosaur bones? And Sam Neill goes, I try to. And that's it. That's all he said the entire helicopter ride over. I try to. or we try to or something. 3 words. That was it. There's no character. Alan Grant was just boring. He wasn't, I don't know. You want someone, I don't want to say he needs to be Indiana Jones, but just somebody who really kind of carries the audience through this and is really fun to watch and has witty things to say and is just a fun character. And Sam Neill is none of that. Samuel L. Jackson is wonderful. He's not in a lot, but what we see of him, I love. I love Jeff Goldblum. I love Dennis Nedry, or Newman, right? The lawyer, I think, is hilarious. He's very funny. Richard Attenborough, who plays John Hammond, who owns the whole thing, he's wonderful. And that's kind of it. There's epic CG, there's epic music. Okay, there's a lot of great Spielberg action in this movie. The other thing that I think I would be a little bit critical on is, and again, they're probably just doing this because of the book, but I really feel like the character of Dennis Nedry and that betrayal should have been at the end. And we shouldn't have even known about his plans the whole time. Because I think it would have worked better if Dennis had been a really likable guy, like just instantly, like maybe like Samuel L. Jackson or something. Like, wow, this guy's really cool. I like this guy. Then you get to know him, you get to like him more, and all of a sudden, boom, the betrayal. That would have been way more impactful than what we've seen, because at the very beginning of the movie, we find out that Nedry is going to betray them, right? He's getting paid from Dodson. We've got Dodson here.
With the shaving cream.
Yeah, he's getting paid off at the very beginning of the movie. We know from the very beginning that he is going to betray them. And I think it would have been more impactful if they would have waited until the end and made him a likable character, which he's not. He's a good character. He's fun to watch, but he's not likable. It's kind of like Newman on Seinfeld. He's fun. No one likes Newman, So yeah, my biggest problem is the characters, I think. It's hard for rewatchability purposes. It's hard to get really excited about watching a movie again when you don't have lead characters that are really fun to just lead you through it. Because while the music is great, I have it on a playlist somewhere and I can just turn on the music if I want to listen to it. Good, not great. I give it a 7 out of 10. What do you think?
I think I agree with that. Yeah, my biggest problem is the characters. And it's kind of baffling because this movie has a lot of fun characters. They're just all the secondary characters. They're not the main. The 4 main characters, I guess, are Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and the 2 kids. All 4 of those characters are exquisitely boring. I mean, the kids are downright obnoxious.
They kind of are. I agree with you.
They almost ruin the movie for me. I mean, they're really not fun. The fun characters are John Hammond, Samuel L. Jackson, Newman, Jeff Goldblum, the lawyer.
It's great.
Fun, all great characters. Yep. None of them are the main characters. And Sam Neill, I guess he's the protagonist of this movie. Mm-hmm. I guess. And what's his character arc? What, he didn't like kids, and by the end of the movie, he kind of comes around? That's his arc? I don't know. I'm sorry. It's not fun. Now, the dinosaurs themselves are fun. You mentioned the CGI. That holds up remarkably well.
It's unbelievable.
This is one of the first movies that used the CGI on such a big scale.
This movie's 30 years old.
Yeah. Those dinosaurs still look good today.
They really do.
I mean, there are a lot of 90s movies and even post-90s movies with CGI that don't hold up nearly as well.
Oh, absolutely. The Mummy. Oh. Which came out, I don't know, 6 years after Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
The CG in The Mummy is terrible. It was bad back then, if I'm being honest. Today, it's far worse.
Remember Blade?
Yeah.
Dude.
I know.
The blood
It's like watching a cartoon.
It looks like when the blood flies, it's like Mortal Kombat, how the blood would like spill out.
In the early 90s, Steven Spielberg and James Cameron seemed to be the only directors who really had the tools to make CG look realistic.
Yeah. In this movie, when they started out, they were going to do stop motion. That was their plan with this. And it just didn't look quite right. Because the thing is with stop motion is you don't have that blur effect. When something moves quickly across the screen, it kind of looks a little blurry. And stop motion doesn't have that. And that's why it looks so fake and weird. It turns out our eyes need that blur because do this real quick with your hand. It looks like a blur. That's supposed to look that way. That's how our eyes see. When that blur is not there, it just looks weird,
It's
artificial.
like watching an old King Kong movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also have that kind of jittery, like shaky effect too.
Yeah.
And Spielberg was just like, I don't like this. And some guys got together in a basement somewhere with their computers and said, look at this. We can do this with CGI, no blur, no shaky, looks great. Spielberg was like, I'm in.
Dude,
And-
that computer lab in Northern California that produced those graphics.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at pictures of that lab and that building, and I mean, it just looks like an old, rundown, like Radio Shack went out of business kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's
Yeah.
where Jurassic Park was made. In that
Amazing.
crazy.
Yeah. So I would probably give the movie a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a quick recap of our review show. We're gonna both review the same movie, and then we're gonna grade it 1 through 10.
Exactly.
So yeah, Jurassic Park's a 7. When I saw it at the age of 14, I probably would have said it was a 9 or maybe a 10.
Yeah.
I mean, every 14-year-old came out of the theater and was just, oh, that was the greatest movie ever, I mean,
Do you remember the rumors that this actually happened? That scientists actually did
I don't
bring
remember
back? You don't
that.
remember that?
No.
Before the internet, people just believe these things.
oh, jeez.
We need a name for our channel.
Brothers Review Show.
Brothers Review Show.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Brothers Review Show.